On the northern tip of the island of Cebu in the Philippines lies an island known not just for its white sands and turquoise waters, but something more unique: its resident sharks. Malapascua Island is the only spot in the world where you are guaranteed to encounter thresher sharks almost daily. And we're diving deep into what makes this island so special that these sharks decided to call its waters their home. I'm Noel Guevara, conservation photographer, filmmaker, and National Geographic explorer, and I believe in the transformative power of a journey. Join me as I explore incredible destinations, immersing myself into their ecosystems and forging bonds with the locals. As I connect with the destinations on my journey, the insights I gain always come from the most unexpected of places, proving that when navigating our journeys in life, they should be uncharted. This is Life Uncharted. If you've watched the previous episodes, you'll notice that I focus a lot on sharks. In the pilot, I tangled with some reef sharks and a whale shark in Tubataha Reef's Natural Park. After that, I flew to Egypt to dive in the Red Sea in search of my favorite shark, the Longimanus. So, we'll end the season back here in the Philippines to photograph one of the most beautiful sharks, and fittingly, the species that started my love for these incredible but misunderstood animals. This is my first photo ever of a thresher shark. It's crap, I know. I took it with a point-and-shoot camera after only being in the water a couple of times prior. The following year, I came back with a vengeance, and with a better camera. I returned a few more times, with the last visit being 6 years ago. But what is so special about this shark? To understand this, we must talk about Malapascua Island. From Manila, Malapascua can be reached by taking a 1-hour flight to Cebu, followed by a 3-hour car ride to Maya Port, and finally, a 45-minute boat ride. Measuring just 1 by 2.5 kilometers, it is a small island, but it has been making big waves as a top dive destination, mainly as the go-to for close encounters with thresher sharks. I can't emphasize enough how thrilled and proud I am to have Malapascua and its treasures in my national backyard, so to speak. But what's even more amazing is the fact that Malapascua and the Philippines, by extension, have a lot more to offer in terms of shark and ray species. But what is amazing about Malapascua is that it is representative of the impressive marine biodiversity of the Philippines, where more than 200 species of sharks and rays are found. 16% of these species are possibly endemic, which means that the Philippines is one of the most critical areas in the world for shark and ray conservation. While Malapascua is rich in sharks and rays, our focus on this episode is the thresher shark, a species that continues to enchant and then ensnare divers from the world over, and is the source of pride of Malapascua. In fact, both have been deemed synonymous with each other. To dive with these threshers, 2 certifications are recommended: Advanced Open Water and Enriched Air Nitrox. One allows you to dive deeper, while the latter lets you stay there longer. While my team and I are certified for both, we're doing something different for this trip: Twin Tank Enriched Air Nitrox. This will enable us to stay even longer underwater with the sharks. Responsible for training us is Evolution Diving Malapascua. Located right on the shore of the island, Evolution Diving Malapascua is a PADI 5-star dive resort that is widely regarded as one of the premier dive operators in Malapascua because of their professional operations, technical diving courses, and participation in initiatives to sustainably develop the local dive industry. As our partner for this expedition, Evolution provided the team with twin-tank Nitrox training through our instructor and guide Gino, on top of handling our dive operations.
It's 5 a.m. and we're headed out to dive with the Threshers. So this is characteristic of all dives here in Malapascua. You wake up at 4, head out at 5 a.m. You're at the site by around 30 or 45 minutes. The thing is, I didn't wake up on time. My alarm didn't sound, so there was a lot of scrambling to get the gear in, move out, get on the boat. But you know, I made it probably a minute or so late. But you know, I'm here, and here's hoping we have a lot of sightings today.
Originally, the site to see the Threshers is in Monad Shoal, an underwater seamount around 20 minutes away from Malapascua Island. But in recent years, the sharks have moved 45 minutes out to Kimud Shoal, a site we used to visit for hammerheads. In all my previous trips, I've only done Monad Shoal for Threshers, so I was really curious for this new experience in Kimud Shoal. My first impression of Kimud was that it was shallow. And because it is shallow, there is more ambient light. This is immensely helpful as strobe or video lights are not allowed when shooting Threshers. By the way, whenever you see this graphic, you are watching footage from my point of view. It's captured by a GoPro that I mounted on top of my camera housing. Now going back, our first dive of the trip was a test of patience. For 15 long minutes, we weren't seeing anything. And then, the first shark arrived. It kept its distance at first, but eventually, it swam close. Characterized by its long, slender caudal fin, the endangered pelagic thresher shark, Alopias pelagicus, is mesmerizing to watch underwater. Measuring around 10 feet, in which half is made up of its tail, the thresher belongs to the mackerel shark family with the great white and mako sharks. Unlike those species, however, threshers are docile and harmless. They use their long tail like a whip to swat and stun small groups of fish, a more effective technique over hunting them individually. As the minutes passed, more and more sharks arrived in Kimud. I have never had this many sharks and this close in Monad Shoal before.
Wow guys, just wow. It's been 6 years since I've last gone diving with thresher sharks, and I've forgotten how beautiful and graceful they are underwater. That dive was just magical. And I have to say, Kimud is a lot better than Monad. I remember Monad, it was darker. Here, it's much brighter because we're shallower. The sharks were more numerous. There were 4 or 5, I believe, around me at one point. They were less skittish, and the visibility was just fantastic all throughout. Plus, the double tanks really gave us an advantage. So at the point wherein, an hour in, when all the other divers had to come up for their surface interval, we could outlast them. We stayed there for 2 hours, and we had the threshers with no one else there at the start and at the end. So, amazing.
That afternoon, we revisited another famous dive site, Gato Island. The main feature of Gato is its underwater cave system. It starts from one side of the island and goes out the other. The main draw are its resident white-tip reef sharks that swim around in the tunnels or are found sleeping under recesses. After some time searching around in the darkness, we found them. This time, I wanted a really nice close-up portrait of a white-tip. It's a shot that would inspire a similar one later on in this trip. Thresher dives usually have a 4 AM call time to give allowance for checking your gear and loading up. But I also enjoy the accompanying sunrise view. For this morning, we are going back to Kimud for another round with the Thresher Sharks. Because, why not? This time, we were in for a treat. There were already a number of sharks in the shoal, and they weren't shy. By now, you've seen why Malapascua is such a special place, but I'm sure you're also wondering why this phenomenon is unique to these waters. Well, the reason is equally fascinating. Thresher sharks are pelagic fish, meaning they live in the open ocean far away from shore. They are also typically found at around 150 meters, way deeper than recreational diving depths. This means that it's virtually impossible to see them up close unless baited. So why are they so close and so shallow in Malapascua? Because of these guys. These are moon and blue streak grasses, fish that feed on parasites on bodies of marine animals, hence their name, cleaner wrasses. There are areas of Kimud Shoal that are teeming with these fish. These have been appropriately called cleaning stations. So if threshers wanted some pesky parasites removed, they pass through these cleaning stations. It's like a shark spa, and is a perfect example of a symbiotic relationship. Underwater topography is also another factor. Monad and Kimud shoals are like mountains jutting up from the deep seabed of the Visayas Sea, becoming the only cleaning station pit stops in the area. The wrasses, underwater topography, and shark behavior all come together to make this spectacular phenomenon possible. For the first 2 days, we focused on the sharks at the top of Kimud Shoal. Today, we wanted to go over the edge and explore the area around it. Remember, Keywood used to be the ideal site to see hammerheads, so there's definitely something down there. But as expected, the sides of the shoal are mostly featureless. There were these juvenile fusiliers, which made us wonder if this is another reason that the sharks are here. Food. And then we saw this large school of bonito jacks in the deep. I waited for them to swim up and took some shots. Sadly, that was the highlight of our dive around Keywood. But ironically, it's when we got back to the top that we were treated to a unique spectacle. Now, I don't have footage of the first half, as I wasn't aware of what I was seeing at first. As our team hovered above the reef, I saw a lone thresher slowly swimming up from the deep. It was the first time I saw such behavior, and only when it continued to swim up to the surface that I realized that it was going to breach. Breaching is when marine life break the surface, usually to dislodge parasites or fishing lines or for play. I was able to turn on my GoPro just as the thresher crashed back into the water. You can see it better from this clip from Boogs. Footage of a breaching thresher from above the surface is something special, but one from underwater is a one in a million. Speaking of above the surface, I was also able to capture one after a dive with my phone. Talk about luck.
It's not rare to see a jumping thresher, especially here in Keywood, but to see it 3 times in a row in a span of 30 minutes and then see it doing that underwater, ascending, gaining momentum, and then just breaching the surface and splashing right back down, that is special. Fun fact, threshers are one of the highest jumpers, probably just higher than the mako shark.
That afternoon, I reviewed my photos from the previous days. I was happy with them, but they were similar to the ones I took on previous visits. Thresher sharks with a wide-angle lens. By extension, they were just like any of the other thresher photos taken in Malapascua. And then I remembered my close-up shot of the white-tip reef shark in Gato on her first day. This gave me an idea. For our last dive, I switched to a 60mm lens, trading coverage for reach. Just like with the white-tip reef shark, I wanted close-up shots of the threshers, preferably with the wrasses on them. Locked and loaded, I was ready. But like the first day, Keywood was empty. No sharks to be seen. We moved to different parts of the shoal, fighting against mild current and squinting through hazy visibility for any sign of that long tail. Thankfully, we found them. But so did everyone else. It was a struggle to get a clean shot of a thresher. I decided to take a risk. I distanced myself from all the other divers in the hopes of finding my own thresher. And what do you know? One came towards me. This beautiful individual, probably bothered by all the activity, had the same idea and broke away from the rest. It then swam around and close to me, over and over and over. Luckily, with some wrasses in tow. I was rewarded with an incredible opportunity to show symbiotic behavior up close. I haven't seen shots like this before. You can even see the yellow parasites and the distinctive narrow pupil of the thresher.
Honestly, I was getting really worried when we couldn't find the sharks during the first half. And then when they finally appeared, so did a lot of other divers. It was getting really crowded. And in my head, I was like, well, we had a good run, 3 good days with the threshers. Maybe this is a time we won't have those encounters again. But the last 10 minutes with that lone thresher shark just going around and around me, giving me a lot of opportunities to take photos of the cleaner wrasse picking off parasites. That was really personal for me. I felt like it was the thresher bidding farewell, and yeah, that was a good end to the thresher shark chapter.
The island of Malapascua and the thresher shark will forever be intertwined. This is obvious enough when you walk around the island and see that iconic tail. It is a shark conservation success story. Just like the thresher and the wrasses, the thresher and Malapascua have formed a symbiotic relationship. Thresher shark tourism has sustained the community, even helping them rebuild after a disastrous storm and recover from the pandemic-induced lockdown. In turn, the thresher shark remains protected and revered. It's a case study of mutual and beneficial coexistence. And while this is not possible in every scenario, it is a future that I stubbornly wish for our natural heritage.